The Akibas Trip series is one of high regard in some otaku circles. The themes parody our love for anime, figures, and word choice, only to make us feel subtly cool that we understand the nuances of the dialogue. On top of this, you have a plot where vampires are feeding off these desires and walking among us. The only choice we have is to fight back and strip them in daylight to bring them to their doom. Akibas Trip, Hellbound and Debriefed happens to be a PSP title that was never released in the West. From the first moments of gameplay, you'll see that this is not a game from this era. The graphics, although remastered, aren't the prettiest, but there's still some character here. The game may have pushed what was capable of the PSP hardware at the time, but you'll be hard pressed to see that show up in this remastered effort. The dated camera angles, slow control response time, and simplified environment design will constantly remind you that you're playing an old game. However, something so charming about this experience is reminiscent of a strange arcade game from the 90s. The polygon characters who roam the streets each have personality as you interact with them and fight off the vampire threat. The fun you have during fights is mirrored by ageless character banter that feels like it was written for this generation. I should preface that this all comes with knowing that this release is mainly for fans of the series who were never able to experience this release before. Assuming that this is a sequel to Undead and Undressed should be shelved, with hopes that this only shows Acquire that a new entry in the series is wanted. Through gameplay, players take on missions that require them to rid the streets of Akibas of the vampire-like enemies. While the ways to figure out who the enemies may vary, the easiest way is to take out your camera to snap a photo of a group of people. If someone doesn't show up, well, they're a vampire. Combat takes the form of high, mid, and low attacks. Depending on what the enemy is wearing, you'll need to strip them of their clothing and let the sunlight do its job. However, they can also strip you, which results in a game over. While combat is a significant part of gameplay, there's also a lot to do in the form of minigames and simply interacting with the people on the streets. There are dozens of stores that sell weapons and items that make encounters easier and just as zany. It's these interactions that will mostly keep you playing. Still, I wish there was a way to run faster or even equip items without leaving the area first to access the menu from the map screen. The limited graphics only spotlight some of these lacking quality of life issues that should have been refined for this release. I also found that the numerous loading screens to be a bit much, and the camera is constantly fighting against you when you're trying to fight an enemy. It gets worse when a group of people begin fighting you even when you only want one of them. Akibas Trip, Hellbound and Debriefed is the missing entry in this series in the West. It'll look great on your shelf next to Undead and Undressed, but it's definitely a product of its time. I'm enjoying the narrative and character writing, but there's a target demographic for this game and you probably already know if that's you or not. Akibas Trip, Hellbound and Debriefed is coming to PlayStation 4 and Nintendo Switch on July 20th, 2021. Thank you for watching. Please read the full preview at noisypixel.net. Noisy Pixel is run by a group of gamers who work hard to deliver news, reviews, previews, and more. Please subscribe to keep up with all our future content.
Noisy Pixel.